All right, so that concludes our first official / unofficial practice match hit out. It's probably the most we've seen in Collingwood's preseason so far, in the sense of any kind of match sim. I feel like, but not by much either, mind you. There's been portions of match sim in training, but I would say it was very minimal, like the least I've seen. So it was nice to see some sort of hit out. I think the format, this triple threat format, massive L in my opinion. I didn't love it. I did not love it at all. I thought we had to compensate for the AFL, for the All-Star game. Fan cams, guys. Click on the link if you want to jump on and share your thoughts about the preseason, about what we just saw. But I just think two teams, two separate sides get 50 minutes of no time on in their second last hit out before they play their opening round contest. It's just, there was no real rhythm. We weren't allowed any rhythm. I didn't like it. So I'd like to get your thoughts, guys, on what we thought about the format. I mean, what Collingwood? Yeah, they played the first two periods and the last two periods. So we had to wear the brunt of it. We had to compensate the biggest. VC Whisper, Vice Captain Whisper, looking good. Sometimes we don't mention him here on Pies Footy just because it's just a given how good he is and how good how he's able to perform every week in, week out. Shooter was really good. I think he could have a big 2025. I don't want to put a goal prediction, a goal range. I think there's other variables in place that we can consider to measure how well Shooter goes this year, but it looks good. But yeah, fan cam guys, jump in. We'll get it going in a second. And come share your thoughts. What else did I have? Ed Allen. And as I see Ben in the waiting room, I have Ben with Ed Allen. I don't know. Like, it seems like Ed Allen will still probably play a bit of wing this year at AFL level, as well as some centre bounce work. But I think his use by foot does need to improve just for him to become a mainstay at AFL level, I think. Especially as a winger. I think wingers need to be quite comfortable with the ball by foot. But I mean, it's what with, again, 50 minutes of no time on. It's a small sample size. Reef will be a good discussion. I'd like to get your thoughts, guys, on what we think about Reef, Brazzy, a whole bunch. But first up, we've got Andreas from Black and White United. Big man, give us a thumbs up if you can hear me, bro. Can you give me a thumbs up? Yeah. All right, we're gonna get Andreas on, and then we'll get the ball rolling. Give me 1 second. Andreas, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, mate, how you going?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
Good. What do you think? Tell me.
Look, the first two quarters, or the first quarter against Brisbane, I think it was the first 10 minutes, the ball handling wasn't the greatest. I mean, you could tell they were just, getting rid of the cobwebs and stuff like that. So I wouldn't read too much into it. I thought Darcy Moore was a little bit off, in the first little play, but then in that second quarter got himself into it really well. But, mate, I said it a while ago, Jacob Ryan, I think, might be a little secret weapon for us this season. He's covering so much area in defence, which was fantastic. And he looked good. Then against Gold Coast, TJ was probably doing the same sort of thing. Wasn't happy with Billy Frampton's ball handling against Gold Coast there, but at the same time, really, there's not too much to take out of this game. As long as we can just keep going, keep pushing, get the cobwebs out, and then go into Richmond with a bit more confidence and take that into round one. It's just good the players really got just the moles in the legs. But I was really impressed with the VFL boys that second game. That they looked really good. They were covering heaps of the territory around the ball. And I thought, for them to be lining up with Steele and Pendles, who, let's be real, Sidey was taking the piss half the time in defence, getting the ball out and stuff like that. So, it was a good experience for the young ones. I'm really thinking Curtis Taylor might actually get a pick in our senior list. Not so much for this year, but I mean, if you look at the guys that are going to retire soon, and Elliott's only going to be there for a couple more years. Cox won't be there too, so you got that lack of depth going into the forward line with obviously our three big guys and then Charlie West. You probably need that extra squad player there, provided obviously AJ might not be there next season as well. So, I mean, they're the positives that you can take out of it, but I'm just glad that we got through it without any injuries that we've heard at the moment, really.
What did you think of the format of this triple threat?
Fuck. It was like Wizard Cup days back in like the early 2000s or mid 2000s, really.
They do round robins back then.
Yeah, there was a few that we did like the 3-way games and stuff like that back then. I think there was one game we played against Richmond, or played against Carlton at Richmond at Marvel back in the day. But look, to be honest, it's good that it's back, really. But I think they were saying on SEN today that the only reason why they're doing the 3-way format with us was because Fremantle played against the Indigenous All-Stars. So there was a team that obviously wasn't playing. But, I mean, with that being said, you put Bobby Hill in that forward line and the complete structure changes. And on that too, Lockie Schultz in that first game was really good. I thought he actually showed some really good pressure around the ball, got himself a couple of goals, found himself in good spots. And, that's what you want from him. People need to understand too that he came into a side that did suffer a slight premiership hangover last year, had a fair few injuries, and he was finding his form into a new side, coming off a really good year at Fremantle as well. So I was really impressed with his game. He was probably my standout player for the day. Him and Jacob Bryan were the two that I was really impressed with.
Yeah, it was really impressive from a lot of the blue collar workers. You got, like you said, Jacob Bryan is a hard runner. He did well in that 2K time trial, so he's got something coming off the half back line. There's a lot of competition there, though, isn't there? Like, it's good. You got Will Parker, TJ, Dan Houston, Quaynor, Josh Dacos, and then you've got Jacob Bryan. I mean, we definitely don't have a shortfall there, and really losing Noble, maybe looking back at it in the medium to long term, it shouldn't feel like a massive loss, really.
We haven't had that in a long time, where we've had so many players that can play dual roles as well as the depth covering. And I think that's something that, this season is going to help us, and to a point our VFL team as well, push as far as we can. So if we're planning on going deep in September, we need our VFL team to be not finishing last or second last. We need them to be pushing up as high as possible to get those players, those AFL listed players, proper match competitive games that mean something in the VFL. So if something happens, they can just transition and play their role perfectly into our defence. And it's good that we're stacked there. To be honest, if you look at our entire list, we're almost stacked this season more than what we were in 23. We're stacked in like almost every single line, and we are saying that our defence is a little bit, lackluster, or it's not 100%. And that's just because Murphy's not there. I mean, put Murphy into that defence now, and we've probably got one of the best defences in the league, So we've got to find that cover. We're not going to find that cover straight away, but the competition for spots might just get us there, which is what you want. So, but we'll see how we go. I'm pretty confident. I just want to take in some good form against Richmond. That game, it doesn't really mean anything, but form-wise and playing into opening round, you want to get some good momentum and good vibes going in. You don't want to, have a really shit game against them or whatever it is and go into opening round, and then in the back of your mind, it's like, oh, we're a bit off, this is that. I mean, it's the start of the season. You want to go, straight into it proper, which is just some good momentum going through.
Yeah. I was saying, leading into it, I feel like this year more than recent years, it's important to take some sort of form out of the practice match. Not necessarily tonight, given how little the time available the team had to spend together. We didn't really see our first team play together tonight. But that game against Richmond, I think, like you said, it's important, more important to us than it would be for, say, like a Brisbane or a Sydney or a GWS going into this season. I think Pendle's actually mentioned it in that that Howie podcast that he's doing, the diary journals. Have you seen that or heard of it?
Not yet. I'm actually heading to the Gold Coast tomorrow for a family holiday, and I've got it on my phone to listen to on the plane. So I'm going to enjoy that. Listen, that's something
good,
that
bro.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Spoil it, but I won't spoil it. But good insight on like the importance of preseason games when you're coming off a really good year versus when you're coming off an average year like we did last year. So, are you going to do that while you're on the plane, or?
Yeah. I'm going to try and get that sorted while I'm on the plane, or pretty much when I'm.
You're a couple of days too late to Gold Coast, bro. What's going on?
Yeah, this is the wife's booking, mate. I'm just tagging along for the good times. That's it.
We'll forgive her this time, huh?
That's it, guys. I need to go. But great coverage tonight, mate. Well done. And I'm just going to say it's so good that footy's back. It's just it's refreshing, and it's something that we can I'm sick of watching training videos and stuff like that. It's almost here now, which is awesome.
Where can we find you, bro? Where can we find Andreas?
You can find me on YouTube at Black and White United on YouTube, on Instagram as well. Black and White United. It's going good. We're almost at 600 subscribers now. So, and that's all done during the off season. So hopefully we can get closer to 1,000 by mid-year. That'd be awesome.
We're at 594 at Black and White United. I've just shared the link in the chat. Go give him a sub, guys. Let's get him to 600 before his head hits the pillow.
No, I reckon you guys got about 10 minutes. I'm going to go for a cigar and then go to bed. So yeah.
All right, mate. All right, enjoy. Good to see you, mate.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one. Cheers.
Yeah, bye. All right, Ben, you ready, mate? Good to go? All right, good man.
Yeah.
Thanks for waiting. How you going?
Yeah, good. You can tell that these games are pretty much the AFL's equivalent to Formula One's preseason testing, and you can see that we were just testing out all the different components and programs, of seeing if the diffuser got the right amount of downforce and all that. Well, not literally, but the analogy really. But yeah, we were trying not to crash, really, trying to keep everything together, so we didn't really lose anything major from that game. And yeah, the first takeaway that I got, Charlie West, he already looks like the steal from the 20. He already looks like the steal from the 24 draft.
He looks good. He presents very well. Had 2 shots on goal, 2 goals. So accuracy is there. Looks good.
Yep.
Looks good.
And
what were you going to say, Benny? Sorry.
And the next takeaway, I can already see the kids are competing for spots as well. So whatever the media have said that we've got no youth, just watch that game and just watch how the kids were going. And yeah, think again. We've
got a bit of VFL talent coming through as well, apparently. What do you think about some of the VFL listed players?
I didn't watch the because I haven't subscribed to KO at the moment. I paused my KO subscription to save money.
No, you're right.
But I was aware that Josh Brown was making a good impression.
Very good, mate. Very good. He kind of wiry through the middle, just looked really aggressive and assertive in the contest, sort of broke through a few strong tackles, disposed of it well, got the hands out when needed. And he came from Williamstown, I believe, and initially before that played in the Waffle Colts, which is like the under-19s. So yeah, it's the Waffle. It is. It's basically the Waffle equivalent to the Coats. Yep. Okay. There you go. So He looks good. Look, we don't have a mid-season draft spot open right now. The only way that happens if someone's to retire or gets put on a long-term injury list. But I think there's going to be a number of players potentially in our VFL side finding an AFL club within the next year or two. You got Curtis Taylor from North Melbourne, who didn't have much of an impact tonight, but the caveat always tonight is going to be, well, there just wasn't enough time to really find a rhythm. You either started hot or you struggled to find your way in. Like Steel Side Bottom was on from the get-go. Josh Brown was good from the get-go. Brazzy's endeavour in that second game is just, he never fails to deliver on that side of things. So it was good to see. Ben, and I'm sure you know all too well about this from last season. It's just, how concerned are we about Billy Frampton's clumsiness and panicked nature when the ball comes into his vicinity and tends to give away a free kick too easily?
He started really well at the start of last year, but something happened and he dropped off. Do
you remember what happened? I can tell you, but maybe you'll remember. Do you know what happened?
Go on.
So he came in against St Kilda or Sydney, did really well, was actually competing very well and wasn't losing many contests, but then he got thrown forward. I think he got dropped.
Yeah,
so he either got thrown forward or dropped or the other way around, and then he got put back into the back line, never really found his feet again, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a shorthand that I was told. It goes, when you stop, you drop. And in Billy's case, when he stopped playing in that back line, he completely fell off the face of the earth in terms of that rhythm, which people players like him would have to rely on in order to keep competing.
Yeah. It's still my biggest concern going into the year is that key position. And look, some people think Reef is a key position. I just think he's closer to a Jeremy Howe at the moment, and it's going to take time with Reef McInnes. I would like to see Reef get the confidence at VFL level in the position, but does it look like Charlie Dean or Billy Frampton are going to take that spot for opening round?
No.
Probably not.
But yeah,
Jeremy
Howe is labelled on the AFL website as a key defender rather than a general defender. And Reef is also taller than Nathan Murphy. And Reef's also taller than Nathan Murphy. So, yeah, stranger. But yeah, with what you say about Reef, stranger things have happened.
Yep. Well, look, at the end of the day, mate, I want it to work out. But it's just, I think we can't have too much of an expectation for things to go swimmingly for Reef at the start. He's never. I don't even think he definitely wasn't. He was a midfielder in his Coates Talent League TAC Cup days. So he went midfielder, forward, and now he's being tried as a defender. So this is something that's quite foreign to him. So it's going to take time, isn't it?
He tried he did a fair bit of game time down back as an intercept defender, and because he was an Essendon fan back in the day, he modelled in his draft year. He modelled his game on Jordan Ridley, and that was the year. Well, it was COVID, and that was the year Jordan Ridley emerged as a top tier defender.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I mean, mate, if he can turn out anything like Jordan Ridley, then that will turn out back.
We've got to get
one of them. Yeah. So, Checkers looked really fit, by the way. It's good to see him fit and firing. He's been largely unscathed in the preseason at training, and yeah, I just pray for some continuity in my Check this year, because if we can get McStay, Membry, and Checkers in the same team for 15 plus games, I think goes a long way for us getting that elusive. What, 18th
I
flag,
like
is it?
17th. I like to
17th,
call my check. I like to call my check Brody Wiedemann, because I've spoken to a few older Collingwood fans about it, and they say that he shares a lot of qualities with Murray Wiedemann, the late Murray Wiedemann. Just an undersized, like hard as nails, battering ram, just like Murray Wiedemann, whose nickname was the Enforcer. But my check's taken like Backman, who's like twice his height and just didn't put up with any of the bullshit that was thrown at him, and just held his own. And yeah, he got 5 goals on Sam de Koning, believe it or not, in 23. And Sam de Koning, he kept Buddy goalless in the grand final, and well, Buddy was past his sell by date, and the truth is, a lot of players these days are their own worst enemy, and another player who is his own worst enemy is Dom Sheed. Like that grand final goal, he's gotten too caught up in that, and now the guy's on borrowed time. As you'd know, that's
he has done his knee, hasn't he?
Yep. And
he's done his knee, but he's got a medallion hanging around his neck though, so that won't disappear anytime soon.
Yeah, he's spending too much of his time just admiring it, just like models would spend themselves admiring themselves in the mirror.
I love it, Benny. Want to leave us in any final notes from yourself?
I did like the impression that Will Hayes gave as well. I think he's another get as well. We've got a real knack for nailing late picks.
Yep. Well, I think Will Hayes was 56 or something. That's not too far from old mate pick 58 in Dane Swan. So something in the water there.
Swan, McCreary, Langdon, Harrison, Hayes, West. I'm sure there are a few more. Who else?
Josh Dacos was taken quite late as a father-son.
Yeah, well, we already had rights to him, so I don't know whether or not that would count.
I mean, if he was taken in the 50s, he probably if he wasn't a father-son, he'd probably be taken maybe in the 40s, maybe. I wouldn't say he wouldn't go all the way down to 30.
Our 2010 team was dominated by rookie picks.
Yep. Jared Blair.
Yep. Nick Maxwell was a rookie pick.
Yep. Very good. Josh Dacos wasn't taken as a father-son, says T. Mellor. I don't know about that. I think he would have had to have been.
He was. Yeah, we had the pick and we selected him. We selected him.
So we didn't have to match or anything like that. Okay, that probably makes sense.
No.
There you go. Because they knew we were going to take him. All right, all good. Benny, thanks, mate. It's good to see you in 2025. I'm sure we'll see you a heap more in the post-game shows, and it's always a pleasure having you on, mate.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, there you go. So Josh wasn't bidded on. Well, there you go. So I assume in that time, old mate Josh, I mean, teams probably just knew that he was going to get taken by the Pies, so they probably didn't bother picking him up. All right, let's go. Woody.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Earlier today, big man?
Yeah, it was, brother. It was good fun. Haven't done that before. A lot of teething issues, my lord. But
it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. No, but I was going to jump on, see what your thoughts were from the games. It was a new sort of format. What do you think of it?
Fuck, I reckon it sucked. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I felt
I'm
like
gonna be real.
yeah,
I
we
hated
just had to
it.
compensate. We had to compensate for the fact that Freo had a game against the All Stars, so someone had to play a triple threat, and not only were we limited to two different sides and none of them being our full strength side, we also had to play on either end of the Brisbane Gold Coast for 2 periods they played. So there wasn't really much of an opportunity to get into rhythm. Whereas Brisbane going into the Gold Coast game after us, they get the rhythm, and then Gold Coast going into that Collingwood period, they get their rhythm, and then we're sort of, you get 10, 15 minutes into a quarter or period with no time on, you're just finding your feet. And I said earlier in the stream, I'm like, you either start hot and that carries you through, or you start slow, and then by the time as you're heating up, the game's done. And if your name's not Nick Dacos or Pendlebury or still side bottom or Josh Brown, VFL listed Josh Brown, you don't have the luxury of starting off slow in these games with no time on.
No, bang on. I felt exactly the same. I personally I found it hard to remember that, like, what was the important time in the game, because I'd find it was like the second half of these things, and I was like, oh, actually this is when it really matters now, but I don't feel like it matters right now. So it was a weird one for me. I'm not sure that I loved the format. It was good to see a few different sides batted out against each other, but yeah, I think we could leave that for next year. I don't think we need it again.
Yeah. That's on the pass list for 2026. Pommy says, anyone else think that was the stupidest waste of time for all three clubs? Should have had the Indigenous game last week, stand alone, and Freo played us in Perth. 100% agree, mate. I think, yeah. Anyways, hopefully we don't see it again. I think we've spoken about it quite a bit throughout the stream.
Yeah.
It was. Look, it is what it is. We get the practice match next week against Richmond, and that's where we'll put all our eggs in that practice match basket and try and make the most out of it. Looking,
I was going to mention it puts you guys under a bit of pressure. Like it's now because you didn't get that continuity that the other two teams did. Now you've got to come out against Richmond and actually play well, which, surely you will. Don't get me wrong, right? But it goes into a game where realistically there'd be next to no pressure on it unless you somehow capitulated. To now it's like, all right, well, Collingwood didn't quite get the job done, so we want to see them actually come out and slaughter Richmond. Like that becomes the new expectation now, which is a bit of bullshit, because you didn't get more than like a quarter and a half in two sort of sections of the game. So
yeah. Look, the last note I'll leave on that is I'm not sure if Collingwood battled against the AFL when the suggestion was made, because Collingwood were going, or had already organised to go to Gold Coast for the camp. So look, I'm not sure how the conversations and the dialogue went between the two. But what about you, mate, Mr. St Kilda fan? What did you like anything in particular from either of those games for the Pies?
For the Pies, yeah, I was really happy to see Tujath out there. He looks like one. Like I had a bit of a look over the Pies list, and he wasn't one I didn't see him having that position open for him. But I think he did a fair bit. Like he found options where I thought that he was probably in a little bit of trouble. And he generally held his own. He didn't look like he was worried at any particular point. I missed a little bit of West. I turned around at one point and saw, I think he kicked a goal, and I was like, I completely missed that. I don't know how it happened. So that was good to see. But yeah, I think you guys have some good kids. I'd be more leaning towards the sides of hopefully you don't need them. But yeah, good crew, good results as well.
Yeah, Westy presented really well. Kicked 2 goals straight. Pommy makes a good point about there was a period in the game against Brisbane, that first 10 minutes of the second period where, or even actually, you know what, to be honest, for the most part of that Brisbane game, we weren't great defensively in transition, but that's against a premiership side. So if people look into that and say, well, Collingwood, again, they can't defend the transition, looking at a sample size of 30, 40 odd minutes, then let them believe that, like Pommy said. And hopefully an opening round. It's not something like, so that's the issue. That's my gripe with this fucking round robin is we wanted to. Would have liked to have seen our best side play for an extended period, then bring in your VFL listed players, bring in your Josh Browns, your Harry Mahoney's, your Dowling, these sort of players to show something. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
I saw that before the game. I was like, and you mentioned it before I came on. You guys don't actually have an SPP spot, and you were playing some of your VFL players. That kind of surprised me a bit. I don't know if all teams are planning on doing this, but yeah, that surprised me a little.
I think we probably had like 6 or 8 VFL listed players feature across the 2 games. The benefit of it being an unofficial practice match is you can play your VFL listed players. So St Kilda are versing Carlton on Saturday. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
Carlton are versing St Kilda. So you might see some VFL players feature in like the second half. Is it 4 quarters? Do you guys get 4 quarters at least?
I think we get 4 quarters, mate. Yeah. So we get a solid hit out. I don't know if we've got VFL listed players on the lineups, but to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. We've got a fair relationship with Sandy, and we've been looking at picking one of those guys up. So yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, I liked what you guys did tonight in a lot of regards. I don't think it worked off of the back line the way you wanted it to. So I can see those sort of why there might be those comments. But again, you're right. It's a very small sample size. There's no consistency with these shorter sort of quarters, and then playing half a match, less than that, and then taking an hour's break. So for me, I wouldn't worry too much about any of the numbers, but it is one of those ones you want to see a better result next time. And thankfully, you got Richmond, so I think you put the foot on the throat a little bit there.
Last question.
Yeah.
How did Tim Membry look in the black and white?
It was painful. It was painful, bro. I had to put this on. I was like, he's missing that red. This is the first time Tim Membry has played without the colour red in his jersey. He was at Sydney, at St Kilda. Now he's missing it. So it was painful. I wish we got to keep him, but I think he'll do good things at Collingwood. I think this is one of those years where it's probably best for everybody long term. He gets a proper chance with Collingwood to have a crack with a really experienced lineup, try and get another flag out of the group, and then St Kilda gets to develop a player that they're interested in, and Cooper Sharman's probably taken his role. So yeah, I think it'll be good for both clubs. It does hurt though.
Woody, pleasure, mate. Always love having you on. You're a saint. I know you wear the red, white, and black, but I'm starting to think I'm getting you over to the black and white more and more as the days go on.
Look, we've only got 33% red here, so if you think about it in that terms, there's a good 66% of me that's Collingwood. So
I love that. I love that.
Thanks, mate. Thank you so much for having me, and enjoy the rest of your eve.
No worries, Woody. Take care, brother.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
All right, who have we got next? Let's go. Kev, you ready? Big thumbs up from Kev. Good man. Kev, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, very good game, I thought, from our passage of plays. I thought we moved the ball really well. Turnovers cost us a little bit, but I thought that we stayed in the game and were competitive against Brisbane, especially that second half of that second period. But I honestly thought that through that game, I thought we played well when we moved the ball, but it's just our errors, our discipline, like the lack of discipline really killed us tonight, I thought.
Do you want to put any names on that lack of discipline? Who was lacking discipline?
Billy Frampton.
Ooh.
Gave away a couple free kicks.
What did he do? What did Billy do?
No, he gave away a couple free kicks. So I don't know what they didn't show what happened, but there was one free kick where he gave away that it was really soft, and I said on my stream where it was, such a soft decision. And then you look at some that like holding on free kicks or that were given away. And I thought if we could at least try not to give away silly free kicks and not let the umpires make that decision, pretty much. But I thought, the kids. I thought some of the kids looked good. I thought TJ showed something. Reef looked good down in defence. Even TJ himself in that against the Suns, I thought he was good. Steen battled well in Iraq, especially against Wits, and also Smith as well. Darcy Cameron showed some really good signs in Iraq, and I like Nick Dacos' game as well. I thought that was a really good performance. But I don't like the format. If it was me, I would rather have 4 periods and you have 25 minutes if you want without time on. But that's just me. You want to have that 4-quarter performance, not like 2 periods, then you rest, and then you face another team for 5th and 6th period.
Yep.
So.
Spot on, Kev. Couldn't have said it better myself. Could not have said it better myself. So you liked TJ, you liked IQ, Nick Dacos. That's an obvious one. Did any of the VFL players spring to grasp your attention?
Charlie. Who do we have? Curtis Taylor showed a little bit. Who else did we have in the VFL? One of them, I think, was played in Finn's number. I thought he was alright.
So Josh Brown from the Williamstown, who just signed on with the VFL side, played today, and he was probably almost best on in that second game. I thought Harry Mahoney as well, who played for Collingwood's VFL side last year, a lot of good raps around him and his pressure and his energy. He was good in that first period and that final game against the Suns. Who else? Who else did we like? Look, Curtis Taylor, for those who don't know, he was at North Melbourne last year, signed on with our VFL side, and could find himself at another AFL club at some point. I think that's probably. We love what Brazzy does, don't we?
Yeah, Brazzy does what he does best. IQ looked really quick out there. Like he was the second and third efforts as well. I thought Bo showed a fair bit as well. Probably should have got a free kick for a hold against the Gold Coast Suns. But there was
that lot was of tackle on Matt Rowell. Did you see that? We caught Matt Rowell for holding the ball.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Some of the umpiring, I think, is a bit it's a bit iffy.
Don't worry about the umps. Don't worry, Kev. Don't worry about the umps, mate. They're not our friends. It's okay. We'll let them do their thing.
I know, but some of the calls, I wasn't sure what happened, and I would rather hear the explanation on why a free kick got paid.
You know what I think happened, Kev? Every time Billy Frampton gave away a free kick, I think KO were looking after Billy Frampton and not showing the replays because they just wanted to make sure Billy was nurtured carefully after free kick number 5. So
they were talking about it. They mentioned him. It was very glitchy. 1 minute you could see what was happening, and it just froze, and then it moved on to the next play. It's just like, well, you guys are meant to be doing a better job, especially Fox Footy as well. Surely you should make sure that doesn't glitch and you can actually see what's going on. Yeah. I thought that was a bit disappointing tonight.
Yeah. So Tim says Will Parker looked good. So did Ryan. Could be a bolter for round 0. So if we look at the half back line, you got Josh Dacos and then Dan Houston, right? That's like your upper echelon. That's your premium half-back flankers. And then we're talking beyond that, you probably got Will Parker and then Jacob Ryan, JR, and then TJ is there as well. Demeter used to be in this conversation, but Demeter is now trying to feature on the wing, but he's dealing with a concussion. So, look, I think JR has an opportunity at AFL level, but he's probably just got to get ahead of Will Parker, and then between Dan Houston and Josh Dacos, if there's a role change there, I'm sure there's an opportunity for JR. Probably not. It probably be a little bit later than in the year if something is to open up for JR. But because he's such a good runner, he could potentially even play on a wing. Who knows? So
I think Will Parker will play about, 2 to 5 games, maybe a little bit more. But I want to see him do well at VFL and push hard for selection and keep putting his name up for Fly to say, yep, we're going to pick you because you've got the pace in our back line. I don't want to see us what we did last year, and that is keep playing the senior guys that we trusted. I would rather have us play some of the kids like a Will Parker who's got pace, who can zig and zag. And the few times when we did that, it actually looked really good because it worked out for us. We got a handball chain going. Just that last bit entry inside our 450 were a bit terrible, but when we were able to get in there and we did score from that, it looked really good. But there's a lot to like. Look, I said in my preview, it's not all about winning this. It's all about putting your list in there and see what you've got and how you manage your list as well. So I thought we were smart enough to play Pendles against Suns. I would prefer to have maybe Membry or McStay in against the Suns and do what Gold Coast did with Witts, and that is you could play him for another period, and therefore at least you got his body right to where he could play that second ruck option if you really need to. But that's what that's what I would do. I'm glad we didn't play Digari. I thought that was a smart move.
Yeah.
And I
Kev,
did say
are you
that,
going to, before I forget, are you going to Collingwood vs Richmond at Icon Park?
No, I won't be, but I will be doing a watch along stream for that. It's just because on the Wednesday night, work the next day makes it a lot difficult. And the travelling an hour and a half back,
All right,
but
Kev,
I will be
good
there
man.
on Sunday.
All right, mate. Thanks for jumping on. I might see you at the jumper presentation on Sunday. I'm not sure if I'll be there yet, but if I do, I'll bump into you for sure.
Yeah, you definitely will see me there.
All right.
I definitely want to see. I don't know if we're gonna do like a country versus city game or it's a actual training, whatever we're doing. But get down there, Pies fans. Show your support for the boys. It's just one game. When we play against Richmond, we've got a far better list and teaming when we have Bobby Hill back in there and Cox, Digari as well. So let's go, Pies.
All right. Thanks, Kev. Go Pies.
Go Pies.
Get yourself down to Revs. Greatness. How you going, mate? Oh, I think you're on mute, or you might need to put your mic thing down. All right, you do your thing. Nah, not yet, not yet. You keep figuring it out. It's all good. It's all good. We'll give you a breather, Greatness. Give you a breather. I can't hear you. Sort it out, and we'll get you back on. Nick, you good to jump in, my man? All right. Nick, how you going?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How's it feel to have Footy back?
His mic is at Revs. Sorry. Yeah, Nick, Footy's great, mate. Footy's so good. It's good to be back. Oh, sorry. Pommy's just making me laugh in the chat. I can't. Pommy the funny man. It's good. Are you happy that footy's back? What did you take out of the game today?
Well, as everybody said, I agree with everybody. The past few cameras, I couldn't agree more that the game, the triple threat or whatever you want to call it, I kind of think it was kind of crap because we only had two quarters and it was so mixed up and stuff. But the positivity of it to me was seeing Charlie West. That was really great. He was to me he was a real standout. And Jaff, am I saying that right? Number 9.
Yeah, that's good.
Jaff. Yeah. He was another real standout as well. So it's pretty exciting to see all the young ones go. And yeah, first game for us to me was just shocking. I was getting a bit concerned on that one. But no,
We bounced back in that last 10 minutes in that second period. If there's something we can take out of these small games is we were getting obliterated in that first half of the second period against the Lions. And then we found a way to come back Kings. I mean, we didn't come back, but we bit back into the lead they had.
Kings.
What was that, Nick?
I couldn't say any better myself. I even said to a couple of mates of mine I used to go to the MCG with when they get so cocky and just rub it in my face that we in front by miles. Do you want to go yet? Want to leave earlier? And I'm like, oh no, we are the comeback kings. Don't get too cocky just yet, mate. That's us. We are the comeback kings. So yeah, but I still think I was expecting more transition off the halfback that we talked a lot about going into this season with Dan Houston, and it's also as many YouTubers said that the Fremantle guy, I keep on forgetting some of the names of the coaches already. Jesus, some of the coaches will want us to improve on our tackling, so I was expecting to see a lot of that. Unfortunately, some of it wasn't quite there, disappointingly. But no, it was. It's really great to see some footy back. They're great.
Look, it wasn't the format we wanted, but we got some form of Pies Footy tonight. So we'll call it the entree for next week going against Richmond. I think we'll see a very young side with Richmond mixing in that blend of your Tom Lynch's, your Dion Presti's, Tim Taranto, Nick Vlosten. I think it'll be a really good game. And fortunately, then we'll get 4 quarters of seeing, or at least we'll get at least 3 quarters of seeing our best side go in it. We'll probably see Bobby Hill. We'll definitely have to see Jordan De Goey. Like, I know he was managed for today. That was probably, we could all see that happening. But I think I don't know if we're warming up at the right time. I think there's a real lack of match practice these days, but I understand at the same time teams are cognizant that these seasons are hard on the body and they're long. So, and the preseason the off season is shorter, the preseason is shorter. Opening round is a thing now, so they're much more mindful of not overdoing the conditioning for the lads in the preseason and the match practice. So take that as you will. It's a conversation that I guess could be had and go on for a long time. But for now, we're gonna trust that Collingwood going into the AFL season without an intra club and having to play this round robin and then against Richmond, hopefully that's enough to get the wheels rolling for 2025.
So, a question for you for a bit of a difference. So, what do you think? What do you think of Reef McInnes in the back line?
I said earlier, he's probably going to need time. In an ideal world, I say he probably should hone on his craft at VFL level so that he doesn't shoot his confidence into the ground if he doesn't have if he has a few dodgy games at AFL level in that position. But on the other side, it's like, well, are you going to play Charlie Dean or Billy Frampton? You're definitely not going to play Billy Frampton at this point, especially after today.
I was going to get to that.
Charlie Dean Charlie Dean was a bit shaky. He was panicky. He had a couple good moments, but it's pick your poison at this point. We're all praying that Reeve can become some sort of a lockdown / intercept defender, whatever you want to call it.
Some sort of like Nathan Murphy 2.0 type of.
We're all hoping
used
for
used to say the exact same thing. Swoopy used to call what was it? Used to call Reef a Nathan Murphy 2.0. Super League.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, if that's what eventuates, then it's a win for everyone. The fans, the players, the club. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something else I had a bit of a thought about for during the off season. I've noticed that there's a lot of new Collingwood supporters here now, and you like your making documentary. So why not maybe mention something like the Shores or something like that, and actually get some of the new Collingwood supporters a bit of knowledge with our club, with our Magpie club.
Yeah, certainly an idea. We'll look at some documentaries throughout the year. See what happens. Any final notes from you though, Nick?
Well, for the Collingwood Army, probably look at in the meantime, just to keep yourself occupied for the next I think community series is next week, I'm pretty sure, isn't it?
Yeah, next Wednesday at Icon Park against Richmond.
Well, probably in the meantime, probably look up some of the legendary players like the great Peter Moore and all those type of heroes in the 1990 grand final and so on and so forth. And then, Definitely. Once you get that knowledge under your belt, welcome to the Pies.
Good man. Thanks, Nick. Pleasure having you on, mate.
All right. No worries, Anthony. Have a great night, mate.
Take care. Go Pies. All right. Bob, do you have a camera? It's fan cams. I know you probably want to have your say, but we do need cameras. I'm sorry. Greatness. How's that mic looking? No good? No good. Okay. So, what's the recap? We talked about the format. We talked about Whisper. Ed Allen still got some work to do with his disposal by foot. Billy Frampton, we spoke about that. Josh Brown, wow. What do I think about Ash Johnson? Interesting one. I mean, he looked okay in moments against Freo in an All-Star game, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to is Membry going to be available? McStay going to be available? Mychek is going to be available. If they're all available, I don't see Ash Johnson playing. But if the gap opens and Ash Johnson's doing a job at VFL, the biggest benefit of having a competitive VFL side, a really strong list, which looks like we sort of have that going into the season, is we'll get some sort of continuity and synergy at VFL level, and that's going to benefit players like Ash Johnson in the forward line. So, very talented player. Just mentality side of things needs to get things clicking there. But Bob, Sigma Bob, you ready, brother? Good man.
Ooh,
Welcome. How you going?
Going good.
Frozen. Sigma Bob.
Good, mate. Been waiting a year to hop on the chat. Ooh.
I think you've gone under a tunnel at
Well,
home, mate.
what do you mean?
All right.
So
you-
like,
Can you go? Can
I
you go
don't have
somewhere where the
KO.
reception's a bit better?
Is it? I'll stop moving. How about that?
Yeah, I think we're good now. How you going?
Is it good now? Yeah, I was walking up and down. So I don't have KO, so I didn't get to watch the match, but I did watch the highlights. And with the Brisbane match, I think that they kicked a lot of goals on us through like turnover, which I thought was pretty shocking. Like reminds me of the start of last year. But when you're watching it, did we kick a lot of goals from halfback?
There was a bit of transition, I thought, against Brisbane. We got inside 50, and that's sort of where it fell short for the most part of it. The final half of the second period against the Lions, we really started to bring things together. Nick Dacos sort of carried the boys. We weren't great defending from Brisbane's halfback, which was a bit problematic. But again, we sort of rectified that late in that game. Yeah, that's sort of what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect to win because we're playing in Brisbane. It's like with practice matches, I don't think you should pay attention at all, really, because like crazy things happen in practice matches where it's like Sydney beats Geelong, but then when the actual AFL season starts, like Geelong's winning the premiership and Sydney's at the bottom, for example. So practice matches aren't really a reliable example for like what's going to happen in the AFL season, I think.
Yeah.
But
Look,
you're
just looking for moments.
Richmond one.
Yeah. You're looking in these sort of games, you're probably looking for moments and players who are upcoming. Will Hayes had a moment here and there. Charlie West kicked 2 goals from 2 shots. It was Josh Brown from the VFL. Bruzzy had moments showing that he still has that
Charlie West
fight in him.
Yeah. Charlie West is good, man. I reckon he would be good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, all good.
But,
Bob, I might have to let you go.
yeah,
There's a crazy delay. I'm gonna have to let you go, man. But jump on next time, and hopefully the reception's better, and we can tee it up, man. Oh my god, we got some characters, don't we? Greatness, is your mic working? Let's try. Hold on. Goodness. Talk to me. Nah. Shambles. Hey, clearly it's the post-game show preseason. Apparently, we've had some shockers tonight. Goodness. See, the dude was doing these ones. He was doing these ones and had like he was bloody streaming from Africa or something. I don't know. What do we got? Everyone's at Revs according to Pommy as well. Goodness gracious me. Oh, we're back. Yeah, shocking start. That dude was the most zoos dude I've seen in years. Oh, goodness. Let me see if there's been any post-game interviews from the Pies. Allow no. Dacos starts here for in style. Nah. You reckon you fixed it? All right, we'll try one more time. Greatness.
All right, are you able to hear me now?
Save us, brother. Save us.
Are you able to hear me now?
I can hear.
Oh, yeah? Okay, thank God, because audio's going everywhere, so hopefully it's all working now.
It sounds great now. It sounds great.
Yeah, okay, good.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, footy's back. That's always a positive thing. So, even though it's practice matches, I think we're kind of at a point where if there's crumbs, we'll take the crumbs. And yeah, just happy the footy's back.
Very good, very good. You seem to know quite a bit about some of those VFL listed players. So is there anyone you sort of wanted to highlight?
I mean, just going off like tonight, I thought because I know Josh Brown's been mentioned a fair bit. Trying to think of the in terms of the VFL guys, we do have a few of them that do look pretty exciting. We've got a key forward. Can't remember where he was from, but he was averaging like 4 goals a game, somewhere locally, and he looked pretty promising. Josh Bennett, who played today, he was originally part of Hawthorn, so he was a part of Hawthorn's NGA. And I can't remember if he was on the list for. I think he was on the list for like 3-4 years, and he got delisted at the end of last season. So we've picked him up. We picked up actually a few from Hawthorn. We ended up picking up a tall midfielder, but I've also spoken to some people as well. Apparently, he can also play in defence. I think he's 191 centimeters. I believe. So haven't. I mean, obviously, I'm only just doing this off the top of my head. It looks like
not a bunch of stats to refer to either.
Yeah. And yeah, so obviously with all these like new recruits, I've tried to go through like because like even there's like the VFL app. Josh Brown's got his stats on. There's obviously the website for like the waffle and stuff. So, probably need to get around all that. But obviously I'll get through that in time. And but no, in terms of the list overall, it's actually coming out together pretty nicely. And I'd say a lot of the bodies are a lot more bigger and a lot more. I feel like we've got a lot more senior bodies around the ball, where we've had guys that have been around that 24 to 25-year-old range, but they're sort of their bodies haven't been as progress as much as some of what these guys are. So, because obviously when we had all these injuries last year and stuff, and we were basically forced to play some of these guys as like a main player or the main person in that role for the side, they were obviously, struggling a bit. So to get a few more guys with bigger bodies, a bit more experience under the belt, I feel like we're going to be standing up a bit more. So hopefully, touch wood, we get a clean run with injury, and we shouldn't be too far away from hopefully having not like success, but hopefully we can appear in finals. But that's obviously a long way away from here.
Yeah, I just on Adam, I think number 23 could have been not Josh Brown, because Josh Brown was 27. 23 may have been Harry Mahoney, and if not Harry Mahoney, is he thinking about Chad Mulvo, the blondie?
Yeah. Because it's sort of, again, like going off a lot of this information I'm trying to go off the top of my head. But both of those guys both played. I know that for a fact. And then you had Josh Bennett, who played as well.
Yeah,
and I think Angus Sievers also played as well too. So he would have played in the back line because it's his role for the VFL.
Okay, yeah. Just looking back at some of the highlights here, but look, what game actually? I haven't asked anyone this question, but what game did you enjoy more out of the Gold Coast and Brisbane game from a Pies perspective, just in general?
I think probably the Gold Coast game, only because I'm probably I've got far more questions about our VFL than our AFL. Our AFL side, it just looks like it's just ready to go. I know the performance wise, like scoreboard wise, like you can look at it from that point of view and say we're a bit off, but you do have to look at it at the end of the day that you're also playing a half of football, and when it comes to the full season, nobody plays a half of football unless if you're a fringe player trying to make their way into the side sort of thing. So for that to be the most minutes someone has on the ground, I think it's just more trying to get like the match conditioning in, and more trying to get them like ready so that when it comes to round 0, it's sort of like the warm up to the season sort of thing, which I guess that's what preseason's always been. So this is obviously if you want to look at it in the sense of like obviously with schoolwork you'd have the theory part and then the practical part. Well, this is the practical part to testing for the actual season ahead.
Yep.
So to be expecting AFL performances equivalent to what they would do round 0 is sort of you're not going to do that first up. So this is like sort of the training session before the training session for round 0, pretty much is what I probably would put it as.
It felt like a bit of a tease, really. It just felt like we all got excited like this was a proper practice match, and then I felt like we got sold short tonight. That's what it felt like. Disappointing in that regard, for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was also a good point that was brought up before as well too. The fact that we were not only were we the only 3 teams to have this like happen, but also as well we were the only team to have the game we didn't have the game in the middle. So not only did we have like the 2 quarters separate, but we also were the only teams to actually have the break because I feel like the conversation about momentum of football is spoken about so much. So when you have that also taken into it as well, but then at the same time too, we also had two completely different teams go out in those. So also, so maybe that point's maybe not as valid as what I originally thought.
Yeah. Luke says, hopefully we aren't too slow this year. Just worried slightly. Look, we did. Back to my question, and I'll answer the question proposed to myself about what I enjoyed more. With the Brisbane game, it was quite frustrating. It's a preseason game. So when I say frustrating, it's frustrating in the context of a preseason game that, we weren't finding connections inside 50, which is something we're typically really good at anyways. But what I liked was our ability to bounce back late in that second period. We looked slow in transition. We amended that. And then in that Gold Coast game, there was a bit more flow in the game, back and forth.
Yep.
But a bunch of free kicks handed to the likes of Kingy and a few of those other key tools. But thanks for the donation, Luke. It's a pleasure having you back, mate, and would love to see you on the actual fan cams at some point as well, mate. Appreciate you. Lockie Schultz, says Adam. What do you reckon?
I thought Lockie Schultz, because especially with Schultz, like he's obviously based around his efforts, and I thought he did really well. I can't. There's something that's coming to me specifically in terms of what he did, but in terms of like the running patterns, and that's really all you can really take out of it. It's not necessarily, did this guy get 40 disposals? Did this guy kick 6 goals? It's more the things that they do on the field that's not talked about in a public perception, if that makes any sense. Like, like the running patterns, who they're matching up on. Did they sort of, were they successful with their matchup, or did they tread water a bit, or did they completely struggle? Like, just things like that. So, looking at who's getting 40 disposals and who's kicking 6, that's something that's kind of not really the point. And also as well too, you only have a half to do your thing as well too. So again, match conditioning, match fitness. It's sort of I couldn't even tell you what the scores were because I wasn't watching what the scores were. But I would imagine all 3 teams would have got what they wanted out of it, and now they can go back to not go back to the drawing board, but they can go back to training and might tweak a few things and might go, okay, well, we thought this worked, but it didn't. So let's either, train more on it, or let's completely change it and do something else.
Yeah. All right. Last question before we close the stream. 2 predictions. One from me, one from you. I'll start. I'm going to give you my Copeland. My prediction is I think Lockie Schultz will be a top 5 in the Copeland Trophy finish at the end of the year. Thoughts? Schultz top 5. That's my left field.
What? So in terms
prediction.
of like, if I think it'll happen, or
Yeah, give us a quick yes or no, then give me your best left field prediction for a Pies player this year.
I mean, I'd love to see it from him, because especially how I felt like he sort of came in with a lot of expectations last year, and it sort of seemed like he sort of, for a lack of a better way of saying it, he sort of drowned within the expectations a bit. But then, come to, probably the back half of the year, I thought he did really well in terms of having some impact on the scoreboard, putting his pressure on, even though I feel like his pressure was on the majority of the year anyway. So for him to have a top 5 finish, that would be like awesome, and that would be great for him. So top 5 is a very, very difficult thing to achieve, especially when you get guys like your Lipinskis and guys that moving all day and running all day, and then you just got guys like Dacos and Maynard and Darcy Cameron and Crisp. I'm sure there's like plenty more. If he doesn't make it, it's not because he's not a good footballer. It's just because we've just got such a stacked team. So,
what have you got for me?
Yeah. Prediction. Yeah. So there's been a few things I've been sort of throwing out there in terms of predictions.
Give me your best.
It just, for some reason, it just has not left me ever since I've sort of been thinking about it. And I know you made a video about it, but I can't not think about Steen at the moment. I just have, for some gut feeling or some reason, I just have a feeling that he's going to have a really big year.
Are you saying AFL games? I'm saying
AFL games.
Yep.
I don't know if
Put a
it's going to
number
be
on
a thing of like once he's in, but yeah, I mean, I can. He will definitely debut this year. There's no doubt in my mind, because you're going to have injuries to either Cox or Cameron. Like, it's not that I'm obviously wanting that to happen, but you just know injuries are obviously going to happen. It's just part of the game, and I just think he's ready. Like, I've said it a few.
Give me game numbers. I need numbers.
At least 10. I'd say at least 10.
All right, I'm holding you to it. I put my hands up. I didn't.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't rate Steen. I just didn't give the attention needed. But that's why I go to these trainings. That's why I'm going to be going to these VFL games, and I'm sure I'll see you there, so I can learn more about the club, our second string team, and see what we have there as well. Because we find out about the Oscar Steens, the Josh Browns, the Curtis Taylors. So that's the Josh Bennetts. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Actually, just to the other one too, I think is going to have a big year as well. If you want to look at it from a stocks point of view, I'd actually wouldn't mind putting some money on Ed Allen for just in terms of just like from a theoretical standpoint of stocks. I think his stocks at the moment would be pretty good to buy in right now, because I think he's probably one I could even see him probably being a top 15 player at the club by the end of the year.
Let's all hope for that, because that is for the betterment of the club. Luke, you're a legend, mate. Appreciate it. Love having you all there. And on that note, I reckon we'll leave it at that, guys. It's been a long day, a long stream, and it's good to have footy back. It's good to have everyone back. It's good to see all the familiar faces and greatness. Thanks for your time, mate. And buddy, good job on bouncing back from the mic stitch up.
Yeah, no, it was a hard challenge to overcome, but we found a way.
All right. Take care, guys.
I'm sure there's a joke of a comeback win in there, isn't there?
I'll leave it at that. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Brilliant, guys. Like I said, absolute pleasure having you all on. Looking forward to this every week. So, as always, thank you for your time, and go Pies.